Welcome to another installment of Deconstructing Babylon, where we discern the signs and symbols of the mystery religion of Hollywood Babylon. I'm the Discerning Clerk, and I use a biblical framework to deconstruct my favorite movies from the 90s.
Noticed your eyeglasses. They don't have any lenses in them.
They're my dad's. The lenses hurt my eyes.
Before Messiah ascended to the right hand of the Father, his disciples asked him what the signs would be of his return. And Messiah told them to be careful not to be deceived. 2,000 years later, the enemy has done a marvelous work of sowing doubt and deception in the world and in the body of Christ. You who are followers of the way, call yourselves Christians, have been made disciples of Messiah. Have you been careful not to be deceived? Have you tested every spirit by the word of God? Have you armed yourself with the knowledge and understanding of his truth? Not perfectly, but obediently to Messiah's instructions and Yahweh's commands. My goal with this channel is to expose the lies of the enemy and always point you to God's perfect truth, so that we are not deceived in these last days before Messiah returns. His return is many times referred to as a wedding feast. We are the bride of Christ, and he is the bridegroom. It is with this imagery in mind that we come to today's selection. My best friend's wedding came out in 1997 with a star-studded love triangle. The Video Movie Guide gives it a 3-star rating and says this: Julia Roberts realizes she's in love with her best friend of 10 years, Dermot Mulroney, when he announces his engagement to wonderful rich girl Cameron Diaz. As she goes about trying to sabotage the wedding, Roberts is neither cruel, clever, nor sympathetic enough to scare up much comic energy, while the film's emotional issues are explored superficially at best. Rupert Everett almost saves the show as Roberts' gay boss, reluctantly posing as her lover. Rated PG-13. This is a movie I not only watched several times, but also listened to the film's soundtrack over and over. There's something so appealing about a light, fluffy film with an upbeat, girly soundtrack. And though it's touted as a feel-good romantic comedy, it has an unsympathetic leading lady, which kind of defeats the purpose. Without further ado, let's see what we see in My Best Friend's Wedding. The movie opens with a musical number. A bride-to-be and 3 bridesmaids lip-syncing Wishin' and Hopin' as the opening credits roll. The movie starts in a frantic restaurant kitchen, and we soon meet Julianne Potter, a food critic who is there to work.
I'm writing it up as inventive and confident.
Julianne is dining with her boss, an editor, George, and she pulls out some ancient cell phone technology to check her machine for messages. Don't we all miss the 90s and desire every day to go back? She hears a message from a long-lost friend.
Why, Michael O'Neill. Sounds desperate to talk to me.
She regales George and the audience all about Michael, their shared history, their close friendship, and a blood oath they once took to marry each other by age 28. That time has now come for them, and the thought of getting married, even to her best friend, fills Julianne with fear. She calls him back that night, terrified of what he might say to her.
Look, I have to ask you something incredibly important. And if you turn me down, I don't know what I'm going to...
I noticed her bedroom is almost all in yellow, and combined with her red hair and the literal word red embroidered on her pajamas, it's very much giving sun symbolism. Michael puts Julianne's anxiety to rest, telling her he met someone, the young daughter of a humble billionaire who he plans to marry very soon. That Sunday, as a matter of fact.
Not like that. They're such wonderful people, really. Salt of the earth.
That's an interesting phrase. Despite the very short notice and the fact that they've been best friends for 10 years, Michael wants Julianne to attend his wedding as a guest. Not the best woman and stand up with him, not to help him find a caterer even, since she's a food critic. Not even to give a speech at the reception, which she'll end up doing anyway. But he just wants her to show up. So she flies to Chicago, not to be a guest, but to break up the marriage. When she arrives, I immediately notice the checkerboard floor in the airport. Must have been built by Freemasons. Just as soon as we meet Michael, we meet his bride-to-be, Kimberly Wallace. Kimmy, dressed in yellow with bright blonde hair, is a true ray of sunshine without the slightest hint of jealousy or animosity.
I've never had a sister.
Turns out, Jules is needed as more than just a guest when Kim asks her to be maid of honor, a last-minute replacement for Kim's best friend who can't make it. They head straight to the bridal shop for a dress fitting for Julianne.
Now this is going to be tighter. You know, you don't want those things to fall out.
This scene with the two women is full of mirrors, as bridal shops typically are. Mirrors in a movie are usually present to show the dual man, the inner man. In this case, the inner woman, as Jules has ulterior motives, and the mirrors prove that. Another room, another mirror. This time, Jules attempts to cover her near nakedness from Michael.
You look really good. Without your clothes on.
Jules and Kim have a face-off, in a matter of speaking. Kim insists she and Michael love each other unconditionally, even if Julianne has been the woman of his dreams for the past decade.
He's got you on a pedestal. And me in his arms.
Michael is a traveling sports reporter, and Julianne meets him and a group of other men at a baseball game. And we meet Kimmy's father, Walter, the humble billionaire, as well as Michael's dad, Joe, and younger brother, Scotty. Jules immediately tries to put some doubt in Michael's mind about going through with the wedding to Kim, and he just ends up defending her.
Yes.
Yes, what?
Yes, you pulled away when I tried to hug you in public.
The three go out to a karaoke bar, another ploy of Jules to disarm Kim and make her uncomfortable. She tells Julianne that she isn't returning to school to finish her degree, but rather wants to support Michael in his career. In true 90s fashion, Julianne balks at the idea that Kimmy wouldn't want to remain independent after getting married.
I think the most important thing is for us to be together.
Jules plants a seed of doubt in Michael's mind about not truly being supportive of his traveling job, and that at some point she's going to want him to work for her father and stay close to her parents.
Never. She would never even think of that. You don't know her.
Jules actively plays both sides of the relationship now that she thinks she's found a weak spot. She suggests to Kim that Michael doesn't really want to stay in his job because he doesn't really love it and just wants to make Kimmy happy. They bring Kim's father, Walter, in on the scheme to woo Michael from his job into a career that is still sports-related and close to home.
Then you beg. Michael, please do this for Daddy. It's only 6 months. It would mean so much to me.
As planned, a fight ensues between the bride and groom. Kimmy has bought into the deception that Jules has whispered in her ear that she needs her own career and shouldn't leave her family. And Michael feels rightfully betrayed.
My job's not good enough. I'm not good enough.
Michael, I never said that!
But Kim quickly changes her tune with the threat of losing Michael, and they reconcile, much to Julianne's chagrin. She calls George in hysterics, and George flies to Chicago to rescue her, or at least talk some sense into her.
Jules, do you really love him? Or was this just about winning?
Jules insists that her feelings for Michael are true, and she really regrets not pursuing a relationship with him before he got engaged to someone else.
Just tell him you love him.
George's advice is good and sound. She should quit working to break them up, but just tell Michael the truth, if indeed it is the truth, and let him decide. So Jules musters up the courage to tell Michael her version of the truth, but she really can't go through with it. Instead, she deflects when Michael sees George lurking nearby.
So, all of this has been about George?
Julianne ropes George into another lie about the two of them being engaged, hoping to make Michael jealous. George is an out and proud homosexual in a serious relationship with another man. And unlike Andrew Beckett from my last deconstruction, George isn't used to lying about being gay.
It sounded like George was gay. Actually, yes.
George plays along with the ruse, not because he supports Julianne in her lies, but to try to embarrass her in front of Michael, Kim, and their families.
I first met Julianne in a mental institution.
George breaks into another song, despite this movie not really being considered a musical. I mean, maybe it is. George leaves Julianne, having made quite an impression on everyone, and reminds Jules again that she should tell Michael the truth.
What will he do?
He'll choose Kim.
Julianne chooses not to tell Michael the truth, but instead tells him that her relationship with George ended years ago, and he just wanted to save face in front of Michael, a man he's never even met before. Yet Michael is honest with Julianne and confesses he did, in fact, feel jealous. It's like he has blinders on when it comes to her, or sees her through rose-colored glasses.
You've sort of been, the woman in my life.
Michael serenades Julianne on a boat with a bunch of tourists. The Way You Look Tonight, apparently the song they share as a couple, and was also the song for my first wedding dance with my husband, a true classic. But this particular song will come back in an important way. Jules arrives at Walter's office and asks to use the phone while he's in a meeting. Instead of using the phone, she uses Walter's computer to send an email to Michael's boss.
From Walter Wallace.
Typically, I would argue the initials WW for Walter Wallace would be a symbol of Freemasonry, since a W on its side looks like a 3, and 33 is the highest degree of the secret society. I recently learned that the reason the mystery religion uses the number 33 is to point to the third of the angels who fell from heaven with Lucifer. Julianne's email is meant to convince Michael's boss to let him go, so he will be freed up to work for Walter, thereby proving the kind of people the Wallaces really are. I don't know what makes her think she will get away with this, but she does. Would she be willing to lose Michael altogether when he finds out about her lies and schemes? Would she be happy just as long as Kimmy can't have him?
Give it up, kid. Can't win them all.
Instead of firing him, Michael's boss warns him about the family he's marrying into. When Michael confronts Kim, she rightly denies knowing anything about it, but the damage is done and the wedding is off.
I do bad things to honest people.
The next day, the called-off wedding day, Michael goes to Kim's to confront her and her parents one final time.
I came here to confront everybody. I'm not going to just slink away like some coward.
When Jules shows up, the honorary maid of honor, Michael asks her to check on Kim. And now Jules is in a position to be counselor and mediator.
You're the only person that I trust.
So Julianne goes back and forth between the bride and groom, spinning her tangled web, and still Michael changes his mind about canceling the wedding.
What did he say?
He said, marry me.
With Michael and Kim both relieved to be moving forward, Jules figures this is her last chance to throw a wrench in the plans. She finally confesses her love for Michael and throws herself into a kiss that Kim witnesses.
That's our maid of honor. She's from New York.
Oh, she's from New York. Well. Jules chases Michael, who chases Kim, and Jules calls George mid-chase, frantic again. And again, George is the voice of reason.
Who's chasing you? Nobody. Get it?
She will not be reasoned with, and the chase ensues to the train station. We are briefly shown the number 88, which is an important number in the mystery religion and in Hollywood Babylon. Think the movie 88 Minutes, or the DeLorean traveling 88 miles per hour in Back to the Future. The number points to sun and moon symbolism once again, as the sun and moon each make a figure 8 in the sky in their courses. It's called the analemma, and it's essentially infinity times infinity. Julianne finds Michael and finally confesses all the bad things she's done, including sabotaging the wedding and threatening his job.
I'm the bad guy.
Are you crazy?
Jules seems to regret her actions, but she continues to justify everything in the name of love. And Michael doesn't stay mad at her, despite her ruining his life and relationship.
Thank you for loving me that much.
Jules and Michael split up to find Kim somewhere in Chicago. By some miracle, she finds her at Wrigley Field on game day, in the bathroom.
Now, I love this man, and there is no way that I'm going to give him up to some two-faced, big-haired food critic.
Jules admits defeat and convinces Kim not to be late for her wedding, which indeed goes forward with no further objections. Julianne gives a toast at the reception, and with bated breath, she wishes them every happiness and gifts the newlyweds a song, their song, until they find one for themselves.
And the way you look tonight.
The happy couple drive away, and Julianne is left alone once again. Well, not quite. She gets a call from George, who surprises her again.
Bizarrely, he's on the telephone. But then, so are you.
Writer and editor take to the dance floor with their awkward, uncoordinated moves, and that's the way the movie ends. The wedding guests go on without the bride and groom, with Jules twirling and cackling in George's face. Before we started, I mentioned that the return of Christ is often called the wedding feast of the Lamb. But that won't happen right at his return. It will only happen after Judgment Day, when the goats are separated from the sheep and the true bride of Christ is revealed, spotless, perfect, and ready for her groom. In the Bible, this feast is referred to as the Feast of Tabernacles, when Messiah fulfills it to perfection as he tabernacles with his bride. Now, for many generations before Christ came the first time, the children of Israel were the chosen people of Yahweh, and he was a husband to them. Therefore, they considered themselves to be the true bride of Christ, those who are born into the bloodline and circumcised into the faith. So when Messiah did walk the earth 2,000 years ago, he opened up the scriptures and revealed that he was to be a savior to Jew and Gentile, and that the family you were born into didn't matter anymore, but that anyone could be grafted into the family of Yahweh through faith in Messiah. So, what does any of that have to do with my best friend's wedding? First off, I really thought they were pointing more to sun and moon symbolism, and I expected to see the color blue more than I did. Yellow was definitely present, and it was present both with Julianne and Kim, but it wasn't persistent enough, and we didn't see the blue in duality. Instead, I'm going to say something that most of you may not agree with. Julianne seems to represent the first entitled wife of the Most High. Not just children of Israel, but her nickname, Jules, sounds like Jews. She felt like she had a right to Michael, and that he should have held on for the rest of his life until she was ready to marry him. But here's the thing. Yahweh divorced Israel because of their disobedience. He saved them and then gave them commandments, and they ignored him, worshipped other gods, left their first love, and expected they would always be his chosen people. Kim seems to represent the true bride, made up of Jews and Gentiles, true believers in Messiah, who is ready for the wedding feast. The one who is willing to follow her husband wherever he wants to go. The one who would give up everything in order to be with her groom. And she's mocked and chastised by the first wife for desiring only the groom.
What I mean when I say she's annoyingly perfect is that there's nothing annoying about her perfection. It is vulnerable and endearing.
Scriptures say that the time of the Gentiles had to come about in order to make jealous the children of Israel. And Jules certainly was jealous. And nothing she did could sway either party from the plan of marriage. Michael, of course, represents Messiah. We know of one named archangel named Michael, which means one who is like God. He's not called Mike or Mikey or any other derivative. Unlike Julianne, who often goes by Jules, and Kimberly, who goes by Kim or Kimmy, Michael does represent the bridegroom. Even his dad's name is Joe, like Jesus. And though he isn't perfect like Messiah, the message is clear. He's chosen for himself a bride, a perfect, spotless bride who has made herself ready for the wedding feast. And maybe it's a musical. Thank you, as always, for enduring to the end. Give the video a thumbs up if you agree and a thumbs down if you disagree. Comment below what you think I missed with this one and to recommend any 90s movie you'd like me to deconstruct in the future. Subscribe to the channel if you want to, but don't follow me. Follow the one who saves you. And until next time, keep looking up.
All you gotta do is hold him and kiss him and love him and show him that you...
I saw a vision.
Pink. Pink. You don't wear pink. Oh.
She does, Michael. Sometimes she does wear pink.
George.
You do.